Hello and welcome to the FIBO Data Model Training. My name is Jürgen and I'll be teaching the course and also providing answers to your questions and providing guidance. The first session, Semantics for Manager, basically means it's a non-technical introduction into the ontology-derived data model. So the education course, it has here 9 classes, usually lasting 1 to 2 hours, sometimes longer if it has a lot of follow along and Q&A. And in addition, there are 50 articles and tools like in MS Visio stencils and an Excel workbook. And here with the first lesson, that's non-technical for non-technical audiences. And you will see it's a very high level and also addresses the open source, but we can go through this very fast and you should keep it as a resource. Now with all PowerPoints, you can copy from it and use it for your internal presentations, design and requirement documents. So your financial institution already embraces model-driven development, industry standards, and reference models. And here this Semantics 4, that's a theme throughout the course. And what I mean by that is that the FIBO is a semantic model. And we leverage this semantics for the wider organization. In particular, designing databases for core operational systems. So, and here with this lesson, it's for finance stakeholders, subject matter experts, and have a little bit of a working knowledge of ER and ontology diagrams. And of course, it's for data and application architects, and even for ontologists who can leverage the model and even reverse engineer data models into RDF-OWL. Yeah, about myself briefly, I worked in the finance industry for 20 years. And in particular, I was an IBM software group consultant for the banking and financial markets data warehouse. And in that capacity, I trained financial institutions on the model at some 45 banks in North America, Europe, and Asia. And after IBM, I advised Citi and Deutsche in implementing the BFMDW. And I also was a speaker at FIBO conferences since the early beginning. And my company, JZ Data Models, was incorporated in 1999. And JZ has the 50M copyrights and is a designated assignee of the CODT patent. So there is a chasm between semantic and conventional data management. So the EDM Council specified the FIBO in ontology web language OWL, but OWL needs highly specialized ontologists. And the FIBO model is very comprehensive. It has detailed coverages of business entities, loans, securities, derivatives, indicators, everything. However, many banks and investment managers don't have the expertise in-house yet. Large financial institutions started implementation on RDF stores. However, IT departments must still support and design conventional databases. And FIBDM is the bridge across that chasm. So the ontology transformed into a data model leverages the design for relational databases. So we have the semantic words with the triple stores, and we have 90% of the financial institution, which still runs on relational databases. And now new is here, we have the FIBO in RDF OWL, and we have data models to design the RDBMS, and then with CODT, the configurable ontology to data model transformation, the industry standard becomes available as a data model. And that is FIBDM. So some predictions, no? Like RDF stores dominate data systems for knowledge management. However, RDBMS remains the standard for core transactional and BI systems. So hence, financial institutions still need relational models and data modelers. However, the ontology web language, OWL, I believe will replace the entity relationship model as the notation of choice for industry, domain, and enterprise models. Yeah, and the reference architecture is SEIA, Semantic Enterprise Information Architecture. Now, if we look at this here, we have the use of design artifacts, be it for business, design, development. The type is the model, conceptual, logical, physical, was it an implementation? And then the level, whether it's enterprise, departmental, or for a specific project. And what we have had for years was data model in RDBMS and also XSD, BPMN, and object models. Now what's new is the FIBO in RDF OWL and RDF stores. And now with FIBDM, we have the FIBO available as a data model. And also we can generate UML models and XSDs. And finally, there are concept maps. That's a higher level of abstraction that's for business users who will find concept maps easier to understand and comprehend than data models or ontology graphs. Yeah, and with that, semantic model-driven development means on a conceptual level, FIBO is the Feynman's domain ontology, and FIBDM is a conceptual data model, the sibling of the FIBO. And it can be used as a reference model for the enterprise and for projects. And then out of FIBDM, we derive logical models for data message process and objects, and then we can physicalize the model. No? And what's important here is that the ontology is at the apex of MDD and of enterprise architecture. So mid-sized financial institutions without semantic technology centers yet adopt FIBDM as a strategic enterprise model. And large institutions use CODT, the transformation technology, to transform the in-house ontologies into data models for downstream implementation. So the financial industry business data model means the FIBO in Power Designer, Irwin, or other data modeling tools. So the model comprises, in its latest release, of over 3,000 entities. It has complete definitions and notations, axiom, business rules. Data architects leverage the full content of the industry standard. So with that, we have a common language and design patterns for semantic and relational data. Some of the principles that underlie the FIBDM and considerations. So the model must be practical. It must be complete. No, we do not want to miss any information from the ontology. And there it is really comprehensive. No? So everything in the FIBO is available as entity properties in the data model. And the model maps back to its source, the ontology. And that also is for every entity, we have a URI that points to the FIBO class. So the domain ontology generates a perfect conceptual data model. So here on the left-hand side, we have an ontology graph, which shows a bank account identifier, which identifies a deposit account. And the deposit account is provided by a bank, which is a financial institution. And we see here the entity relationship diagram is really the best representation of the bank, the account, and the identifier. So there are no missing or superfluous entities or relationships in the design. So how did we get from the FIBO to FIBDM? How does it work? So the configurable ontology to data model transformation COD is basic ETL. Extract, transform, load. We extract metadata from the source ontology, transform it into conceptual data model metadata, and load it into the data modeling tool Power Designer. And the extraction process runs Sparkle queries on the ontology platform to retrieve the metadata. Power Designer imports MS Excel workbooks, and the transformation in between is a two-step process using the patented metadata sets. So the COD metadata sets, there's an extraction process that populates ontology metadata sets for classes, object, data properties, and annotations. And then step 1 here transforms ontology metadata and populates a generic entity relationship metadata set. And then in step 2, the generic EA gets transformed into tool-specific metadata sets. And in this case, these are Power Designer object properties and extended attributes. Now we serialize to MS Excel and load it directly into the data modeling tool. So the COD utility pattern is quite groundbreaking and broad. And it means that the data models has protected its intellectual property. And with that, it protects open source core users and licensees of the full model. And that enables institutions to transform very large ontologies and makes the transformation process available for licensing. And it also, with that, we can transform other domain ontologies like gene, oil, auto in the future. So FIBDM has an open source core version that's licensed under GPL 3.0. And that is a copyleft license, meaning that any transformation derived works must also be licensed to the public. Yeah, and here are the open source and commercial models side by side. So the open source, a little over 1,000 entities as of Q4 2018. And FIBDM in its latest version of Q4 last year has 3,173 entities. So the core is a self-contained standalone data model. Now here's the free open source, and it includes the generic modules like SCOS specification metadata and OMG languages, countries, currencies, and the domain core. These are the core FIBO modules: foundation, finance, business and commerce, and business entities. And then the commercial license, number 1, it includes now the OMG Commons ontology library, and that has replaced many entities in the domain core, in particular in FIBO Foundation. And we get additional modules for loans, processes, and then securities, corporate actions, derivatives, and indicators. So FIBDM extended, the full version for financial institutions have the complete 3000 entity data model, and also it includes quarterly updates. Now, every 3 months, the EDM Council releases a new version of the FIBO, and usually 4 weeks later, there is a new version of the FIBO data model. And also the license grants access to data diagrams, PowerPoints, Excel, and Visio resources. And that includes the permission to lift off and rebrand the resources for internal use. Yeah, and with the optional 12-month maintenance agreement, it comes also with training, model, and resource updates. And it's priced by tier based on the asset size of the financial institution. Yeah, the goal here is really transparency for your FIBDM evaluation. So the freemium approach means you can download an open source version, and you can then decide whether you want to upgrade to the premium. You can review the education resources, that is all presentations and articles. You can examine the full model report, which lists all 3,200 entities with their definitions. And you can then schedule an online call with me to show you a demo and address your questions. Thank you.